in the Kindle Flash Sale. Monday through Thursday this week, I am working with so many entrepreneurial authors. Basically, 50 of us have gotten together, support each other, and to get our books into more readers' hands. It's not just sales, right? Like we're selling our books for 99 cents. We were just joking about this before the went live. It's like we make like 33 cents for each book. We just really, really want this information to get into the people's hands who need to read it, because we know the impact that our books can have if the right readers learn about it and take action. And so for a limited time, all these books, there's over 50 books, are available for 99 cents. A few have a lot of graphics. They're $1.99. It just gives you an opportunity to explore new ideas, discover new voices, see what's possible when all these authors collaborate instead of trying to go it alone, which is what a lot of authors are doing these days. We want to try something a little different. The campaign, as I mentioned, runs through this Thursday, April 23rd. So if anything is catching your interest, please don't wait. Don't miss this opportunity. You can look at all the books, decide which ones you want to buy or gift at kindleflashsale.com. And today I have a panel of a few of the authors that are participating in the campaign, so you can learn a little bit more about their books and the ideas for what they were trying to share with the world. With me today, we have Diana Morgan, who wrote Whole Heart Social Media Success Formula: What to Say, Where to Play, How to Win, a practical guide that helps entrepreneurs show up authentically online, choose the right platforms, and create content that connects and converts. And we have Kate Colbert, who wrote Think Like a Marketer: How a Shift in Mindset Can Change Everything for Your Business, a clear and accessible guide that helps business owners adopt a marketing mindset to make smarter decisions and drive more consistent growth. And Mila Johansen, who wrote 101 Surprising Tips to Promote Your Book: When and How to Build Hype, a creative and actionable resource that helps authors generate visibility, build momentum, and promote their books more effectively at every stage. Please join me in welcoming Diana, Kate, and Mila. Diana, I'm going to kick this first question over to you just to give us a little more of a sense of who you had in mind as you were writing the book. Who is the intended reader? And welcome.
Thank you. What a group we are today. Very exciting. My book is for what I say is 50 plus women entrepreneurs who weren't born with a mouse in their hand. They're purpose driven and they struggle with social media. They struggle with the internet. And my book has, it's really becoming more and more evergreen in the sense of, as we move into this world of AI, the free organic reach and showing up as a human is so much more important. And that's what my book is about, is how to show up as a human without selling your soul.
I love this. I was saying, like, as everybody is sort of sounding a lot more like each other instead of themselves, because we're all, cribbing off of an AI tool. It's not a good look. So let's jump in here with Kate. Kate, who did you have in mind when you were writing your book?
Yeah. So the book I'm going to talk about today is my first business book, Think Like a Marketer. And, this is a book for kind of anybody who owns a business or leads inside of one. And it really doesn't matter what industry you play in or how big your business is or how small. But it hinges on 5 principles of, you guessed it, thinking like a marketer. And these are principles that help leaders make daily decisions at the office on how to create more value for their customers and capture more value to the bottom line. It's essentially a book that gives you the filters so that when you show up at work and you're trying to decide, should we be working on this project or that project? How do we handle this crisis? How do we handle this opportunity? That you have sort of 5 questions or sort of mindsets that you can run everything through those filters to know, if I'm really thinking like a marketer, I would do X, Y, or Z. And it's really a book that I think has helped a lot of companies and careers and hopefully some lives.
That's awesome. I heard everything you said. I want you to know your video was frozen for a moment there, but in a really
Okay.
pleasant way. And now, and now you're back on video, moving again. But fortunately, you were frozen in like a "listen to me thoughtfully" pose. Mila, how
Right.
about you? Who did you have in mind when you were writing this book?
Well, I've written a lot of books, and I've taught publishing in different formats for years and years. And then when I was finally getting on Amazon, I needed help, and I would have paid anybody, $200 or something. It was a lot of money back then, to help me. And so I thought, what, other people need help. So that's why I get so many clients when I speak because everybody wants to publish a book, but they don't know how to do it, even though it's easy. I mean, Amazon's easy, right? The 3 pages, but there's so many layers. And so I wrote the book to help people, and it barely scratches the surface. So once, there's a lot more to do, but it gets people started. And I tell people, don't be overwhelmed by the book. Just do one task at a time. You know what I mean? So I wrote it for me and for other people. And I often write my own books. I've written everything behind me except for one book. I'm a prolific writer, but then that's why I wanted to learn how to do it, So then I thought, well, everyone else needs to learn how to do it. So anyway, I wrote it into a short book, so it's easy and accessible.
Yeah. Short books are definitely becoming more prevalent these days. So I'm going to add my 4th book to the mix because the 3 of you all have marketing in common. And my latest book is called Launch Your Book, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Reviews that Drive Revenue. And similar to what you all were saying, like this is the book that I wish I had when I was first figuring out a launch process. My first book, I was not that excited about the writing process at all. And it was such a struggle bus for me to get it done. And when I realized that it was going to be published, like I had a plan for that step. I realized that it was a good book and I wanted people to read it. And that gave me pause. Like I was like, how does that part happen? And I delayed my publication. And I built out a launch team and I made all the mistakes. But I set a really big goal of getting 100 reviews, which at the time I didn't understand the difference between ratings and reviews. So I was just tracking ratings, but I got 100 ratings and a lot of reviews in like the first week or so after the book was published. It was like a mess. I was like, I used to have a lot more hair on top of my head kind of mess. And I thought I was never going to write another book. And I thought, wow, there's a lot of information to learn and never use again. And then I ended up writing a second and third book during the pandemic. And then more and more people heard what I was doing with launches. And I thought, let me share this information. And if they see this and they're like, wow, this is really great, but I don't want to do it myself, then yeah, I'm available. But most people can just read it and get a lot of value out of it. And Kate, I want to go back to you because I think you wrote a book that people can read and use, and it also positioned you as an authority. You and I met through the National Speakers Association. I know you also work with authors as a publisher. Like, how did that book, Think Like a Marketer, fit into your ecosystem at that time and, kind of level you up as a speaker and as a business owner?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of everything, sort of, for lack of a better phrase, Think Like a Marketer was sort of the book that made me famous, right? And so I'm very fortunate that my last 2 books were quite commercially successful, and that was important to me. So I knew that I was taking time away from my family and other ventures and maybe the opportunity to meet up and do cool things for some new clients. And so I was trying to treat myself and my book as my most important client while I was working on it. And so it was really important to me that it generates something meaningful, that it generated relationships, that it generated revenue. So as a marketer, I'm all about, create value, capture value, right? And try to balance that. And the book is very much about that. And and it was really interesting. It's funny you mentioned National Speakers Association. So I spoke at NSA Influence in 2018, which is when Think Like a Marketer was released. And when I got accepted to speak, which I did not expect to get accepted to speak, I was kind of panicked because I was writing the book at the time. And the topic I was talking about was how to sort of go from the page to the stage and back and forth, right? So it was about speakers writing books, right? And I didn't, at the time, like the only book I had in the marketplace was a poetry collection. I used to be an English professor, right? And so I was like, I can't stand on this stage and be credible without having a successful business book. And so I didn't want to rush it, to your point about sort of, you don't want to rush to failure, as they teach you in the Army. And so I thought, what would it look like if I had really fantastic marketing around the book, had a great website up, was talking about it, was releasing bits and pieces of it in sort of really meaningful, bite-sized ways to the marketplace, and put the book up for pre-order. And so the book was generating buzz, but I was still working on it when I stepped on that stage. And so that was like a panic for me to figure out, how do I practice what I preach? But frankly, we should all have to do that, right? Like if we're going to write a book about any topic, we should truly be experts at it. And if our readers bump into us somewhere, we better be practicing the principles that are in our book. And so for me, I've found that writing books holds my own feet to the fire in terms of showing up every day and being the kind of leader and marketer and communicator that I tell everybody else they ought to be.
Yes. This external pressure as an author who writes about a topic that other authors and speakers can benefit from, it's real. Like
Yeah.
it's like a meta problem. For me, writing a book about launching a book, I was like, this is better be a really good launch. Like, please, people. And I will tell you, getting reviews, which is my like love language these days. Like that's what I tell people to do. It's so hard. And I want to just tell you the example. My third book was about Zoom, and I got 660 some odd people to join the launch team because a lot of people still understood the need to learn that. And I got 250 reviews on that book. The first 240 happened really quick, and the last 10 or 11 that I needed took another like 8 months, which was really frustrating. I was like nearly 250 for the longest time, which is actually how I ended up becoming a launch strategist because people were like, maybe you should just do that job now. And then for this book about launching a book, only 450 people signed up because it's a subset, right? Like it's not everybody.
Yeah.
And you would think that the people signing up did so because they needed to learn how to do this their own book. So they'd be predisposed to, do the step and like write the review. And I got 50%, which is amazing for that scale. That's enormous. That's so great. And also 225 people signed up and didn't write a review. I just want you to know how hard it is to get reviews. Like this is a book about reviews. People clearly needed. Mila, what are some of the ways you've managed to get a book out wide, whether paid or give them away or bulk orders? Like you're constantly got books to share. You have so much knowledge to share. You so enthusiastically do so. What was your best way of marketing a book so that lots of people who needed it found it?
Well, I want to piggyback on what you just said too, though,
Sure.
that most people don't know this, but when you leave reviews, it actually builds algorithms for your books. And when you follow people, so we should tell everyone in our little group, let's all follow each other. And then we all leave reviews because it actually boosts our book up, which a lot of people don't realize, so play the game. It's like playing a game. And the more you do, it builds up your algorithm. So that's something to think about too. And yeah, with me, it's really funny because I know you were addressing this too, Kate, is that I help people write their books to become the experts, and then mainly they're selling their programs, which they can make $100,000 or more or whatever. And I mean, a lot of us don't do that, but anyway, they a lot of people are doing that, and so here's another thing about getting reviews. I tell all the people I work with, call the people who bought the book, or email them and hold their hand and tell them, it's at the bottom left, because people can't find it, way at the bottom left, and hold their hand while they do the review, and show them even, because they're worth getting, right? I mean, you're amazing at getting reviews, Robbie, better than anyone I've ever heard of. And except for, someone who's like super famous already or something.
Yeah, they don't have to try that hard. That's
Yeah,
a
right.
small percentage of a really big audience is still a lot of people.
I know, like you get 2%. That's that. I mean, I have like 65 for my famous grandmother's book. And the interesting thing is, she did this in 1946. You guys, she wrote her book and she went around the United States speaking. I'm jealous, in front of 2,000 people at every stop. Sold her book like hotcakes, and she was the expert. And then she taught Eleanor Roosevelt public speaking and all these people. But she was doing it in 1946, so it's not anything new. We all think it's new. It's like we're learning it now, and I learned it, and then I reread the book I wrote about her, and I went, oh, she was doing the thing I'm teaching now. So yeah, so it's kind of funny.
New.
Yeah, it's not new, you guys. I'm sorry, she was doing it in 1946. But anyway, but here's what I say. Do it all. This is really good, Robbie, and everybody. Do all the formats. I do the Cinderella monologues, and I have all these women in it. It's like a chicken soup for the soul. Well, I'm the only anthology I know that does it all. So we do the paperback first. Don't do the ebook until you get the paperback out, because that's where you make your money, and that's where you get it in people's hands.
I guess
Then
it
wait a
depends
month.
on. I just want to say it depends on strategy, because I do ebook first in order to get reviews that are
I
very
know, but
hard
see,
to
that's
get.
the thing. That's the thing. You won't get that money, and those people want to, get the money to pay back for working with me or the
Right.
editor. So then you do that, and then after a month, you do the ebook, because you can become a bestseller with an ebook 3 months later, 3 years later. But
Oh, yeah.
then you do, as soon as your ebook comes out. Well, I do the hardcover at the same time because I don't want to compete with the paperback. But then you do the audiobook, and it's completely free to do your audiobook on ACX if you audition people. I get like 20 auditions a book, and out of that, 3 may be good and 1 may be sufficient. But do it. I'll do all the formats. That's my best advice. Don't
That's awesome.
do one. Do it all, because you're putting it everywhere. Then put it everywhere, because it comes in like this. It all kind of adds up. Don't you think?
Mhm.
I mean, does that make, yeah?
I mean, I guess it depends on, like, I don't actually have any of my books in official audiobook. Like, my first book is, but it's bonus content. But the style of the books, I just don't think I love audiobooks. I listen to them all the time. I constantly have an earbud near me and in my ear. I
Me
actually, before I get on, I always do check that I don't still have one in my ear. But yeah, no, I think, depending on, like, if it's more of like a follow these steps kind of book, then I think
Yeah.
having something Kindle or paperback or PDFs, all that good stuff. So I think, designing your marketing strategy related to the outcome. And for that, I actually want to go to Diana, because Diana, similarly, like, there are a zillion things that could be done. And it's also not a new message. Like, your book, this is not a new book, not a new message. What say you about sort of just generally your ideas for how marketing works, or how authors could be better getting their messages out there?
Uh, I think that for me, I think one of the things you just said, which is crucially important, which is you have to decide where you want to end up before you even start writing your book. And that was my intention. My book is basically 17 years of the sum total of what I have been doing. So, like what Kate was talking about, these are the strategies that I have been using for the past 18, 17 years to build my own business. And so I think that that's the most important thing, because if you really want to have an audience and have a following, it depends what you're using your book for. For me, I was using my book for credibility. And I have to say that I get a lot of speaking gigs and a lot of attention and a lot of opportunities because I have my book now. This book, I have some other, and multi-author books, but because I have my solo book, a lot of credibility. When you say, you hold your book up and you say, people perk up. And that is really important. And clients, potential clients. So that was really the intention of my book. And so that's how I've taken my book forward. I have my book. At the end of each chapter in my book, I have like the 3 tips, three actionable steps that you can take. And then I have a lead magnet where they can click on to go to my website, where there's an extension of that with a video and a workbook of how to take those 3 steps to the next level. And then from there, of course, it goes into my different programs and offerings.
So I love how it's really thoughtfully connected. And this is an example of kind of plotting out the path before you get on the journey. A lot of times I meet with authors, their books are in the formatting stage, and I just had this happen. I got to talk about this. This is like group therapy. An older person, I'm going to try to like anonymize them. An older person, retirement age, wrote a book on a topic that is probably necessary for us to understand, but none of us care enough to learn. And I said, okay, who is this for? And they said, well, one of the phrases was people who like ignore this topic and like don't usually like go out of their way to learn about it. And I was like, so how are you finding them? Like, what's going to make them want to do it now? And it's like, well, all the things happening in the world. And I'm like, yeah, but who again? 12 minutes in, we're still having this like circle conversation. That pains me so much. Like, I wouldn't even let her talk to me about my services. I have had these conversations where I'm like, sometimes I say 3 weeks, sometimes I say 6 weeks, depending on how much work they need. I'm like, you got to take this amount of time to go do some research calls and like validate this. But this person in particular, the book was in formatting and they'd paid so many tens of thousands of dollars. And I said, can you read me your reader statement when you were submitting this book to this publisher? And they found it and it was so vague. It was so vague, Diana. You know what I mean? Like, no wonder at the end of this, it was so vague. Like, I can't help you build a launch team, which is not even like your full marketing plan. It's just this piece, this crucial timed piece, if you don't know who. Like,
Right.
she was so, I just gendered the person.
Right.
I was trying to anonymize.
And the why, right? It's not,
why.
and it's not just the who, it's the why, right?
Yes.
So in the case of, a marketing book or sort of one of the positioning statements for Think Like a Marketer was it doesn't matter whether you're a management consultant or you own a neighborhood diner that makes the best biscuits and gravy in town. The ability to think like a marketer will give you a competitive edge. And then people are like, oh, really? Tell me more, right? And so it's about so yes, there are a lot of books, and many of us have probably written them, for whom people don't want to have to sit down and read a book about a particular topic. But if you can help reach out to those people and say, if you are having this pain point, here's how I can take away that pain. Or if you have this aspiration, here's how I can get you from here to there, right? I mean, one of my favorite stories in the book world is from my friend and colleague, Rory Vaden, who's a New York Times bestselling author. And his first book that everybody sort of knows is Take the Stairs. His second book, he entitled Procrastinate on Purpose, right? It had some nice like alliteration. And it didn't sell. I mean, it sold well, but it didn't sell as well as he wanted it to. And it didn't sell as well as his first book. So then he did a TED Talk on the same concept that is in the book, Procrastinate on Purpose. And he titled the TED Talk, How to Multiply Your Time. And he said it occurred to him, nobody wakes up in the morning wanting to procrastinate on purpose. Nobody knows what that means, but people feel like they don't have enough time. So when you say, I can teach you how to multiply your time, people are like, yes, please. And then 1 million people went and watched the video. And so that's one of the other things that I always talk to people about too, is that the title of your book really matters.
Yeah.
And the subtitle, if it's a nonfiction book,
we get so clever really about it. Like we are so close to it and so clever. I mean,
we get so cute. We don't sell our books.
Yeah. It's hard. I feel like you have a working title and then you need to sit down and actually finalize the title. Like you have to have something just to talk about it. Yeah. But that first thought is not probably your final one. And the subtitle, oh my God, I had someone who was like, and now we're going to add another whole phrase. I'm like, your subtitle is not supposed to have multiple hyphens. You know what I mean? Like, but they become paragraphs. It's not even a sentence anymore. Like I kind of feel this, like we should be able to describe who it's for, but like in 8 words, not 18 or 6 words would be even better. I want to switch gears a little bit. Oh, Mila, let's pull you in, and then I want to ask you about the Kindle Flash Sale. But Mila, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, really quick, I just wanted to say that one of my mentors early on said the cover and your title are business decisions. And I always tell people, if your title is kind of airy-fairy or, we're not sure what it is, then your subtitle should be an explainer. If your title's an explainer, then your subtitle could be more creative.
True.
My first book is titled Croissants versus Bagels. And Dory Clark, longtime friend and mentor, said, of course it's going to be that. And I was like, can I do that? And she told me about another business book that had a similar, like, I can never remember. It's Spider and the something. I'm forgetting this. And so anyway, my subtitle is the explainer, right? Yeah, right. And I'm glad I did what I did, because the concept Croissants versus Bagels has been now mentioned all around the world. Because of my TEDx and my NPR interview. Look at me name dropping. And because of the branding around the book, people find the book because of the concept. And it's like tied to me, not because I went and got, I didn't do something legal to get it owned to me. I just own the title, right? Like I own the topic.
Well, like this, nobody can take it because I have, you can't.
It's a series, right?
You can't own titles.
Right, you can't trademark a book title.
Well, tell anyone they can take it, but But the thing is, because I put it all over, as soon as I pick a title, I put it on all my social medias as my title, and then no one takes it because they don't know that secret.
Yeah. Well, if it says I guess the workaround is if it's a series of books, then you can trademark a series. And fortunately, in BizBook PubHub, we have a great attorney who helps us answer those kinds of questions. So if anyone does have questions, I can definitely refer you to Alyssa at thebizbookbubhub.com. So I wanted to ask you all about the Kindle Flash Sale. Diana, you've done this now a bunch of times with me. All of you think about marketing more so, I would say, than the average author and business owner. So what's appealing to you about what this campaign is or could be, and like your participation in it?
So for me, it's been great because it's like I get to relaunch my book like 3 times a year. And that's how I feel about it, and because I've written an evergreen book, which means it's good now, it's good in a year. It's the understanding of the internet, which is just never going to change, and how to really do the free organic reach, how to really show up authentically. So every time I do the flash sale, I'm relaunching my book, and it's not just about getting more 99-cent sales, because as you said, that's not so exciting, but it's about, I do a whole social media campaign around it, and for a lot of people, I mean, we're talking about a lot of people. So for a lot of, oh, you have a book, and it's like, I don't focus on the publishing date. And I don't say my new book, but I say my book. And so it does generate more energy, more credibility, more visibility just by being in this flash sale.
Yeah, and especially a book that is an older book, or maybe not, you're now on book 4 and it's book 2, and it's like these books get back shelved. Like they just get put to the back of the closet and we kind of forget about them a little bit. And this is a way to resurrect that. I love the idea of tying this to a sort of mini relaunch effort to re-engage your network. And it's, since the book came out, you have met a lot of people. Like
Right.
there are a lot of new people in your network.
Right. And even like, I remember I was on your podcast a while ago, the last podcast, actually, I think it's coming out today or yesterday. And there was somebody whose book was 10 years old. And I don't think it was a revision that she was doing. I think she was just, doing the flash sale. And I thought, oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. If it's an evergreen book, I love that.
Yeah.
Mila, what are your thoughts on the Kindle Flash Sale?
Well, I love meeting all of the authors, and I love that we're supporting each other and leaving reviews and buying each other's books. Like I heard one guy say one of his people came and they were going to buy all 50 books for his birthday, So that's cool. I mean, why not? What's that? $50? Come on, you guys, we can support each other. I always tell everyone I work with, I'll be the first person to buy your book. You know what I mean? And so I love just meeting and being with people. And I want to also give you guys one other thing. I do Fussy Librarian for all my books once to 3 times a year. That gives me usually 500 to 1,500 new readers, and then you get 1/3 a penny for every page they read. But the great thing is it brings new life to that back shelf book. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I love Fussy Librarian. There's a lot of those things around those newsletters, and I tried them, but this is the best one.
Yeah, you mentioned that the last time, and I forgot to look into it. So thanks for bringing it up.
You know what? You will love it. It will get you so many readers. And the great thing is, if we're people doing books that bring us clients, that's a great way to get clients, because you're putting that first page with your information, right? So anyway, do Fussy Librarian. I love the guy. He's very sweet. He'll contact you. He'll talk to you. Everything. Yeah,
that's awesome. And Kate, what are your thoughts on the Kindle Flash Sale?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be speaking Diana's language here. For me, it's about getting back to basics. It's, all marketing funnels, right? That process that people go through from awareness to owning and loving a product that they've bought. It all starts with awareness. They need to know that you exist. They need to know that your book exists. And so I have always said that all good things stem from being discoverable and digital. And so having, what's better than one author out there talking about their books, 50 authors out there talking about their books and lifting each other up. And because my book might not be for everybody, but maybe Mila's book is, or Diana's book is. And I can say to somebody, oh, hey, do you know about this book? You should read this. And so for me, it really is about being known and being seen in various ways in front of a lot of people. And by the way, there's an entire chapter called Be Known and Be Seen and Think Like a Marketer. And because one of the things I think, and it's interesting hearing you all talk about sort of older books, right? It's like so that's language I would never use about a book I wrote 6 or 8 years ago, right? So I would talk about my debut book, my signature book, my cornerstone book, the book that made me famous, right? So a book being old does not mean it is less valuable, it actually might be more valuable. And if anything is becoming less valuable about your book, right, like that doesn't have lessons from the pandemic in it because you wrote it before 2020, then it's time to write a second edition, right?
Mm.
So, but so that's the things I'm always thinking about. But for sure, for me, it's really about just having people see you again and stumble across your book on LinkedIn and various other places. And I also think it's just a bonus to be able to hang out with other authors and learn about their books and find out what I ought to be reading in addition to what I've been recommending all along.
Yeah, the author community response within the Kindle Flash Sale has blown me away. And I am a community builder. I definitely had an eye towards that idea that people were going to support each other. But this is the seventh one. I just did the math the other day. I did 1 in 23, 2 in 24, 3 in 25, and then this one. So yeah, 7. So I've done 7. They've changed and developed over time. Gotten more complicated. We've kept adding new features. A lot of it by suggestions from these authors. And even today, like the fact that we're here doing a live stream, I knew I couldn't interview everybody during the week. And so I said, hey, so as you sign up, like, let me know if you'd be open to hosting. And a bunch of people said, sure. And some people were like, I've never done it, but I'm willing to try, which is also cool. I love that part of the experience of the campaign, probably like an unseen piece from maybe your perspective, is how many people learn a new marketing skill by virtue of being part of the campaign. Like, I can't tell you the number of people that are using a carousel PDF on LinkedIn for the first time because I created the PDF file and gave them the instructions, but now they know that that's a thing and they know how to properly do it. And so they can just do that again. And like, that's a little thing, or even being on a StreamYard for the first time as a guest or deciding to host one. Like, those are all these skill sets, and knowing how to use hashtags or whether or not to put the link in before or after you post, like all these little tips that we have been adding and adding. It's like a marketing lesson, like so much of hey, reach out to your network before the campaign to get a few more reviews. Like, duh, like, okay, like, of course you should do that. People are like, oh, right. And so I know some of you have been doing this many times. I feel like the more you do it, certain pieces are going to fall into place more easily. And then you're like, oh, I am going to try to do that new thing one more time. But for a first time person, it's like, I'm going to just try to do the basics. And then they're like, let me come back and do more, come back and do more. You all are just so generous. I mean, that's the thing. Like, David Newman, going to give him a shout out. He created over a dozen Sora videos that are hysterical, of people basically saying like, don't be stupid, don't miss the Kindle Flash Sale, and like the Flash Sale's ending soon, and there's like all these famous characters in history. Like, I was like, what do I do with these? And then I realized that I could embed one of those into a Canva template that I already had for my LinkedIn newsletter, graphic at the top, the banner at the top. And I never would have thought to embed video into this static image. And I didn't even know it was possible to use it as a LinkedIn header. So I'm like, oh, so there we're all learning and growing together. But I was like, it's too good to not use. How do I work this in? So just huge shout out to all of you that are on this campaign. KindleFlashSale.com is where you'll find it. Each of the authors also have their own URL. So when they're posting online, click through there so they get credit for helping you find all these books. It does end, though, on Thursday, April 23rd. The next one won't be until July. So don't miss this one, though. You want to make sure you get these books in, and then we'll give you a few months to read all the great books you buy. And then we'll see you again in July for even more great savings. Panel, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.